What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest installment of WWE Chronicle that aired after the Evolve show on Saturday on Ricochet. This one takes place after, actually the night of Stomping Grounds from 3 weeks ago, up until July 8th. Which would have been last week's Raw. So it's not a very long time frame. We only have 3 weeks in between pay-per-views, and this wrapped up on Raw this past week, so it's really only like a 2-week span. But for a 33-minute edition of Chronicle ahead of Extreme Rules last night, I thought it was very good. So to kick off the show, we hear Ricochet reflecting on winning the U.S. Championship before we actually kick off things, where they show highlights of his match with Samoa Joe from the pay-per-view. But he talks about winning the U.S. title, said that this is probably the biggest win of my career, and I would have to agree with that. I don't know about his entire career, but definitely in WWE up to this point. He did a lot of cool things in NXT, but it doesn't get much better, up to this point anyway, than winning the United States Championship on a WWE pay-per-view. So we hear from Casey Catanzaro, the real-life girlfriend of Ricochet. So we see Ricochet and Casey together. She talks about what sets him apart from everyone else, saying that people can kind of feel that his smile is real, that he's going out there and enjoying what he does. Ricochet talks about how he first got into wrestling, recalling getting in the ring for the first time in 2003, and he knew right then and there that was what he wanted to do. And now he just wants to make the most of this opportunity. Opportunities come and go, and he knows that right now is his time, and he wants to make the most of it while it lasts. And he talks about the match strategy, going into the match with Samoa Joe, what he had planned. Obviously, this is all in kayfabe. So he talks about how he planned for the match with Samoa Joe, how he planned to take out the Samoan submission specialist, and he succeeded in winning the U.S. Championship from Samoa Joe. So he gets to the back, we see him getting congratulated by Seth Rollins, Heavy Machinery, Triple H, all of which we saw on the actual show. They actually aired that during the pay-per-view, which was cool. And they also show, which was not shown on the pay-per-view, Ricochet getting congratulated by Paul Heyman, who is obviously a very big Ricochet guy, if recent reports are to be believed. And Ricochet said, "This is my opportunity," to Paul Heyman. He said, "This is my opportunity, and I'm about to go make the most of it." And Paul Heyman seemed very proud of him for saying that. Hopefully, Paul Heyman, being the new head writer of Raw, can push Ricochet to the moon, because the guy's amazing. So he calls, FaceTimes Casey Catanzaro after his match to be congratulated by her, and he talks about meeting Casey for the first time in NXT and how they just kind of clicked from day one. He knew there was something about her from the first time he met her early on in 2018 when he first joined NXT, and said that they started hanging out soon after, and it just kind of took off from there, and they've been dating ever since. So he goes home right after the pay-per-view to a sign from Casey that said, "Congratulations, champ." So she went through did all the hard work in putting together like this poster board that said "Congratulations, champ" on it, like she's in 6th grade, and she even said that too, which I thought was really sweet. And he talked about how, I never really thought about being a big star. That was really nothing that ever crossed through my mind. I just want to inspire people, and if I could do that, I know I've done something right. And he was asked before Raw, I think the next night, is it nerve-wracking for you to go out there every single time? And he said, yeah, it's still nerve-wracking to this day to do what I do in the ring. Every time I go out to the ring, it's, eats me alive, the nerves do. And he said it still hasn't sunk in since I signed with NXT last year that I'm with WWE. And you had to know that signing with WWE was always the ultimate for Ricochet. We saw pictures of him with Triple H from like a dozen years ago, 2005. So we knew we always wanted to be here. Now that he is here, not only is he in WWE, he's thriving at the highest level on the main roster, which is really cool to see. And he goes through his champion entrance before Raw, because some things are a bit, different about his entrance now that he is the United States champion. He is now the United States champion. He's got a piece of hardware around his waist, so he's got to be mindful about that when he does his usual flippity-doo-dah entrance, and he goes through that before Raw. He gets the nameplate changed, and he sees the match with AJ Styles on Raw that night as a big opportunity, seeing how Styles is someone that he's always looked up to, idolized, and now he gets to face them in the first main event that he's ever been in on Monday Night Raw, which is super cool. Has a great match with AJ. He goes backstage and gets feedback from Vince, which is cool to see. Vince said that he had a good night. Ricochet then praises, again, AJ Styles as someone that he's always looked up to, and he really appreciates the opportunity to be in there in the ring with him, and not only be facing him, but in the main event of Raw. It doesn't really get much better and bigger than that for a guy like Ricochet at his current stage of his career. And he can't even believe it. He goes home to Casey, and they're talking about how he can't believe he's facing AJ Styles, a guy that he's always grown up watching people like, Rey Mysterio. He actually mentioned the Rey Mysterio match, and that took place in Lucha Underground years ago. And he couldn't believe that, and he actually faced AJ, I believe, one other time before, he said, in 2014. But never did he ever think he would get the match that he's always wanted on such a stage as WWE. And it still hasn't sunk in that the match has, come to fruition that he's currently feuding with AJ over the United States Championship. I mean, talk about those stakes. That's pretty damn cool. So when he gets to Raw the following week before the rematch with AJ on Raw that night, he talks about his last week of live events, going to Portugal and a few other places, I believe, and going back to places that he wrestled years earlier, but now is a WWE superstar, and how much that meant to him. And he said, he was talking to Casey, he said, I may never get used to being on the main roster. He's been in the main roster now for about 5 months, and it still, again, hasn't sunk in for Ricochet yet that he's there, and hasn't for Casey either. So he gets to Raw, and he greets fans while he's walking into the arena, and he discusses walking out to the ring, how nervous he is, and, being the aerial artist that he is, and going in there trying not to get hurt, stuff like that, how he goes out there and just feels the energy of the audience. And this was the week after he had the rematch with AJ, where AJ went heel, and Ricochet beat AJ, and then AJ Styles went heel. So this is, I believe, the July 8th Raw by the end of this Chronicle here. So we see his promo with AJ from the night. They show all the highlights of his match with Samoa Joe, like I said. The matches with AJ in full. They show all the highlights from the night where he beat Gallows and then Anderson and then got beat down by AJ. And he said this upcoming Extreme Rules match, at Extreme Rules, this match with AJ Styles over the United States Championship, he was asked, is this meant to be like the torch being passed to Ricochet? Does he think he will be the face of the company after he hopefully can beat AJ at the pay-per-view? And he said, I don't know if it'll make me the company, if I can beat AJ at the pay-per-view, but I'm hoping that this match can show everyone that I can be the face of this company with a win over a guy like AJ Styles. And going forward, he wants to prove with this match that not only is it about being the face of the company and, silly stuff like that, but he wants to prove to the people that he can not only be in WWE, but thrive in WWE and be someone. So, that was it. There was again, it wasn't overly long. It was about a 33-minute edition of Chronicle. There wasn't really a lot to latch onto here. It was a good show. I'm a Ricochet fan, so I was going to check this out no matter what. But it really just kind of takes you through the last 3 weeks of his reign as United States champion. Nothing major, nothing groundbreaking. But it is cool to see Ricochet and how much this U.S. title win means to him. And hopefully, I'm recording this before the pay-per-view on Sunday. This is going up on Monday. So hopefully he walked out of the pay-per-view with his championship still intact and his reign can resume as the United States champion. But even if it doesn't, I'm sure he will get the belt back eventually. Because this feud with AJ is ongoing. But this was a good little edition of Chronicle. If you missed it, nothing out of the ordinary. But if you are a Ricochet fan, you likely will enjoy it. It clocks in at around 33 minutes, so the time flies by. But be sure to check it out on the WWE Network. Again, I think that the short time frame also didn't really help matters, and that it only really took place over the course of 2 weeks. But I enjoyed it for what it was. WWE Chronicle Ricochet. Thank you guys for checking out the video. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. All that stuff, amazingly appreciated. Have a great rest of your week, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.